I'm launching a new service that's like kind of like a prepackaged influencer program where I do everything for that client. Like they don't have a program, or they have some, but they don't know what to do at all. So I come in and I do like the ICP research, and I create all the templates and everything for them, and like the playbook and their database and everything. And it's kind of like a plug and play influencer program. So instead of trying to figure it out for yourself in like 4 to 7 months, I do it for you in 30 days, and then you can do whatever you want.
I love that.
Yeah.
And also the 7 days course or package, like it's just like one fixed fee, and then
Yeah.
you get everything. How much is it?
I think it's $200 or something like that. I can give you access if you want to like check it out. I can give you access to.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to share it with brands, and they can just pay you $200 or whatever fee you decide. I think that could be a good resource to share with our clients, or the ones that we talk with that are just new to the channel. So that's very helpful. But I one of your topics that you share with me caught my interest a little bit extra, because I think I hear it a lot. So and it's, how do I prove the value of my influencer program? And I guess it's connected also to the course you have, 7 days course. Like how can you just get started? Because in the end, I'm guessing now, like most managers just want to see revenue, but it's a lot more than just that. But can you just give me just highlight, like, what are your thoughts on, like, on that topic in general?
Yeah. That's one of so in consulting, I work with a lot of people that are influencer managers or growth managers, sometimes CMOs, but CMOs a little bit less because it's, like a different discipline. But growth managers and influencer marketers, whether they're alone or whether they have a team, this is one of the main questions they ask. Like they come to me and they try to like, oh, I have like a few challenges of you, this and that. And it always ends up to like, yes, my management wants to see ROI from influencer marketing, and I don't know how to prove it. As a marketer, I know this is a really valuable channel, like all marketers do, but I don't know how to prove it. They want me to prove it by sales, and attribution models, are shit in influencer marketing. We cannot only build an influencer marketing just looking at UTM and coupon codes. And then I'm like, I got you. Because I worked in like super high performance programs. And this is where I come in. So I have a few notes here because I wrote down, this is a super, I know it's a super important topic. So the pays here, and if anyone's who's in the field is listening, they're gonna have flashbacks with these. So I cannot prove the value of the program to my manager. I'm having a hard time seeing any ROI from influencer marketing. I don't know where to look or how to assess the value of awareness. This hits home really, really badly. I don't understand why I'm not seeing enough ROI from influencers, or why the ROI is not increasing. I think these are like exactly the pains. So the way I talk them through, it's really, really very simple. So first, before jumping into like any type of influencer marketing, first you have to ask, okay, why is it that we need performance so badly? Because if a brand goes into influencer marketing and saying we need ROI and we need sales out of this, no matter what, you have to understand why. Why is this? Why do we have to have influencer marketing as an acquisition channel? Why do we have to make something that's not an acquisition channel into an acquisition channel so badly? So what other platforms, what other like acquisition channel, what other performance the brand has? Because if you're the only one as an influencer marketer, you're going to have a bad time, and you need to be prepared. At least if you cannot run in the other way, you need to at least be prepared and understand these people are going to like, they're going to be all over my case when it comes to ROI. I did this mistake when I was younger. I wasn't prepared, and then I got smashed under the pressure of like doing sales. And then you also have to ask the question. These are like the two questions that you need to ask, because then you have to explain to that person that ROI is not just sales. And this is based on what they answer with this, you'll be able to answer that. How will the influencer marketing program support and amplify or be introduced into content distribution? And I've seen this a lot. people start an influencer marketing channel. They're like, we need to see ROI, we need to see because this brand did it, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to do it too because it's, if it works for them, it must work for us. And then they either end up with like the satellite channel that they don't know how to measure and they don't know where to put, but they also end up with not using the content, not using the output from that channel in any way and not supporting that channel in any ways, right? So it ends up being like a ball of like, we want to put money in it and we want money out, but we're not supporting it in any way. It's just like floating around, right? So this is where we kind of start unpacking all like those gaps that are in the brand's general performance, and we try to understand, okay, if we want performance, if we want ROI from influencer marketing, it cannot be the only channel that produces ROI. We need to understand that the customer journey also goes on social media. It's also in the email. It's also on, the brand's website. It's also like you cannot put all the eggs into the influencer basket. If you do not support it in any way, or if you do not amplify, for example, with some business models, you will simply not get, for example, if you have high ticket items that I'm going to talk about how to do like an attribution model for high ticket and B2B, you cannot expect instant sales, right? Influencer marketing is not there to grant you instant sales. If you have a product that's $500, nobody's going to spend $500 from working with like, no matter how many influencers you work with for a month or per month, right? They're going to need multiple touch points to do that. So this is where you kind of like talk to your manager or investor or whoever it is, right? CMO, and you have a heart to heart. I know this is hard, but this is for the well-being of the, not only the team, not only the influencer manager, but also the well-being of the program, right? Like figuring these things out, because I want influencer managers to also be empowered and say, we do not have enough data. We do not have enough support to start this. So if we start this, we either start it on like a gifting basis, we either push on affiliate, we either build something else, right? We build a foundation of something else before we go and invest heavily in this channel, right? We validate it in another way before we put, like actual hard cash dollars in it, and then complain that we're not seeing that in and out, right? So does this make sense until now?
Yeah, totally. But what would you say when it comes to the lack of data to improve like what are the common mistakes or the things that they mention, like that they cannot show or that they're missing based on their work? Like you mentioned already, like I cannot prove it, but look, what is it? What are the examples? So the people that are listening like can understand that too. What would you say?
So I would say the one main data that is missing from a lot of, it's not just influencer marketing, but it's from a lot of marketing. Every single person I talk to, every single one, there's not one exception where I talk to them and I'm like, how much ICP data do you have? Like, oh no, we have. So we do interviews and we do this and we do blah, blah, blah. Great. So tell me what kind of content what kind of content has like impact on your ICP? What kind of content makes your ICP buy? And they'll go silent. They're like, oh, we don't know. So you want to start a channel that is entirely dependent on producing content that you want for the output of that content to be ROI, but you do not know what kind of content makes your ICP give you the ROI. Does that make sense?
An ICP, you mean ideal customer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the viewer, right? So we work through influencer marketing. We're trying to make the viewer do something. We're trying to impact a recall. We're trying to impact engagement, right? We're trying to get them engaged, and we're ultimately trying to sell something. So for this to happen, I need to know what that person does with each piece of content. And the thing is that a lot of marketers do this. They reverse engineer information that they should already have. So we go into testing and we iterate. We make a lot of assumptions and we say, okay, this is the brand. So we're going to go to what I call brand related interests, and we're going to work with a bunch of people. We're going to test this content. Then we're going to iterate on those concepts. Then we're going to iterate some more. And then finally, we're going to get some winning concepts that are, we call like the high converters, just like in ads, right? It's a very similar process. And then we just go to those winning concepts and then we iterate on those some more. And you have like a huge tree that costs a lot of money and resources and stuff like that. When in fact, what ICP research does and what this data does is like you have validated concepts because you start with the validated concepts and then you just iterate on those and then you get winning concepts. That's it. Like that's how the tree looks like. The other part that I see a lot of brands doing, and they're not even aware they're doing it, like especially in early stage startups, I know it's super hard. I've been there, I've worked there. The tracking in general is disastrous. Like they're complaining, oh, we're having a hard time tracking things, we're having a hard time. Show me one company, and I will go into their Google Analytics and I will show you it's a complete, absolute mess. I do not. I have been duped so many times by people saying, no, we're super data oriented. We're super, and I'm like, great. Where's your referral traffic? Referrals. Okay. So do you have any data on like, did you benchmark like your organic and direct traffic when you like A/B tested and started experimenting with growth strategies? Oh, actually no, because there was that migration from July. We lost a lot of data. We didn't migrate good GA in time, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, you want to build attribution models like this? Like, how are you gonna do that? So this is one of the things that seems very simple, and it seems like duh, but brands go out there and they spend a lot of cash on triple whale and like all these BI solutions, where the easiest way to track is within Google Analytics. And that's not 100% accurate. It's not supposed to be, but it's the best shot if you have like a clean Google Analytics and you attribute and you label everything correctly and you make sure that, your UTMs are clean, and you hire someone from time to time to overhaul the entire thing and make sure that it's clean. You're halfway there. You're going to make it easier for you to track the ROI and demonstrate the ROI. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And you touched on stuff like you say, like ROI is not the only thing that is important. What are the other things that could be valuable, and that I guess the team or the influencer manager should highlight when they want to prove the value?
Yeah, this is the concept of incrementality that marketers have been forced to put aside for a really long time because of like the aggressive growth tactics and the like this growth at all costs type of thing. And it's that it's usually the channels that people call fluffy. It's like word of mouth. How do we measure word of mouth? Like, do you have a good, because influencer marketing is very, very tied to word of mouth, right? If I activate 300 influencers a month, do you honestly think that nothing is happening with word of mouth? Do you honestly think that, for example, I'm looking at the 300 people shares, like, right? Like in how many times the content has been shared. I have no idea what happened with that content. I have no idea about the intent of that content being shared, but that goes towards my brand. That goes towards my brand recall. That goes towards the impact that my brand has directly into the ICP's head, which I cannot measure in any way. There's no way I can put a sign on that, except because this is why I came up with the ICP research, concept, because a lot of some brands have caught on to this. They're like, oh, I think, these things that we cannot measure and these things that actually hit on the general like brand growth kind of thing, and they're very, very long term, are super important. So what they did is they started doing a lot of brand lift studies and trying to understand like how does a brand grow? Because a brand is such an abstract kind of thing, right? And then they started kind of connecting the dots and saying, okay, I think we see that incrementality in brand growth actually directly affects ROI, directly affects our revenue, which makes sense. But we cannot pinpoint, it's kind of like a tangle of channels, which we cannot undo, because when we undo it, they don't make sense on their own. When we're looking at things, we're like, well, we have an email channel, but it's not going very well. But when we take it out of the equation, there's a drop, right? Because this is how you do it in brand lift studies. You sometimes take things out. And this is something that you can do in your influencer marketing program as well. You can look at what I call reach of impact. And I've seen this when you stop a channel, when you stop activating in your program, there's a die down period. The longer the die down period, the greater the reach of impact of your channel is. So let's say you're working on average with like 200 people a month, and then all of a sudden you say, let's stop for a month. Let's give it a break, right? a month and a half. Nothing's going to happen. Maybe we do it during the summer where, results are, people are outside and stuff like that. So you have, when the die down starts, you have the first like 4 to 7 weeks before the moment of like complete shutdown where there's like no activation. The last piece of content was posted and you're not doing anything further from that. And you have this period of like 4 to 7 weeks where the program starts going down. Right smack in this middle of in the middle of this period, you have the actual benchmark of performance of your channel. So it's in the die down. It's like how when it goes down, not when it goes up, that you measure the actual performance, like the sitting performance of your marketing channel. And here's the thing. I've seen this happen multiple times because I worked on projects where funding was pulled or, the brand didn't work out or the project didn't work out or they wanted to stop influencer marketing. High performance programs had a die down of 5 weeks. 5 weeks, completely flatlined. When we stopped it, went down. Now, ask me how long the die down was for channels that had a good mix and that didn't prioritize like ROI, seeing ROI, or didn't prioritize like just bottom of the funnel.
I guess it took a lot longer because it was healthier in a way.
Yes. 6 months. So we stopped the channel completely and the brand still saw sales and traffic 6 months after. Nothing was moved, nothing was activated. 6 months after, basically, without even doing anything, the brand got, ROI. They got like we were already in positive ROI for this specific example. We were already in positive ROI when this happened. And the brand got like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, just by not doing anything, right? The project was put on a pause and then the sales and the traffic and kept trickling in. And obviously we can draw a lot of conclusions from this, but the conclusion is if we're comparing numbers, for the people who want to compare numbers to numbers, the numbers speak for themselves. If I have a high performance and I've had multiple high performance ones being cut off completely, the die down was almost instant, because there was no good mix of content to support that. It was just like the ones who were driving direct ROI, and by assumption, we made the wrong assumption that those people would benefit the long-term growth. And it was the wrong assumption because they didn't. It was immediate return, but not sustainable or long-term one.
Okay. So you kind of have the old way of working with influencers where it was quick, short-term, getting the sales in. And if you stop that, everything stops because it's a lot of, I guess it's transactional.
Yeah.
And the other way that you mentioned now is new way of like more quality content, mix of different, I guess, marketing channels, content distribution, UGC and all that. And if you cut that because it's so like a lot of different things together, it's more sustainable and better long term.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also notice this if you put, because I've seen this directly, if you put content done by the old way, and the old way is kind of like we're doing competitor research, we're doing keyword research, and we're doing brand related interest research, and that's how we're basing the content on. But the new way, if you do it the new way and you produce influencer content the new way, is like when you do if you do ICP research, you do like a content profile of that person, and if you do like what I call like ICP to IVP fit, which is ICP, ideal customer profile, to IVP, ideal viewer profile. Because there's this thing in influencer marketing, we say you have to align your brand with the influencer. That is not true. I have a big problem with that. It's not about brand alignment. It's not about brand alignment. It's about viewer alignment. When we say this is why a lot of brands are limiting themselves, and they're thinking the influencer has to be aligned with our brand. No. You team up with the influencer to produce content that appeals to the viewer. Because first, there's the layer of, as a brand, I'm trying to sell an audience on my product. As an influencer, I'm trying to sell an audience on my content. Those are two very different goals. So when you're trying to get the influencer to align with your brand, you end up with two people trying to sell an audience on a product. And that doesn't work. So you have to understand what kind of goals do I have as a brand? What kind of goals does the influencer has? And what can the viewer, what is like the maximum value and output the viewer can get out of that? And that's how you align it. That's the perfect creative alignment, because it gets everyone involved what they want. It doesn't alienate the creator, it doesn't alienate the viewer, and it gets like the right output for the brand. And the right output for the brand doesn't necessarily always have to be sales. It can be high engagement. You can have better alignment with the creator. Because, for example, if I go to an entertainment creator, right, and ask them to do a bunch of sales for my brand, they're not there to sell. They're there to sell people on their content. They're there to make people laugh. So as a brand, I have to want to make people laugh, right? And that's the performance. The performance is going to be into the engagement. This is why, and this, nobody's going to explain this to you, because a lot of people are doing it intuitively. They're like, if we have high engagement on an awareness campaign, we count that as success. Why? Well, because if people engage with the content, it means that they liked it. Why? So when you dig like deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, I know this because I drive people crazy by asking these questions. And at some point, they're like, we don't know. Okay, I don't know. Leave me alone. Stop asking me all these questions. But these questions are important, because every single time I ask these questions, they always take me back to the ICP. They always take me back to knowing who my customer is. They always take me back to knowing what kind of content can I create that appeals to that specific person. I took you on a...
See.
I'm sorry.
Oh, but this is great. But what would you say if they need to kind of go back now and really think of the ICP and you said IVP, like how those could match? Like, what are the steps that they should go through? I mean, you said now why? Is that the way of like just thinking backwards and going back to really understand?
You mean the
how they should approach all this?
You mean the creative alignment?
Exactly.
Oh, that's a different other podcast.
Okay, but then we take that next time. I was more thinking like, is it any simple, like an overview idea of thinking? But I guess it's just what you just mentioned.
Yeah, I can give you like it's this difference between like, so the way brands do general, because this is the shortest way I can put it right now. The way brands do creative alignment is they do it by basic demographic, brand plus influencer match, right? They do like, oh, we have these demographics and we're going to match them with the influencer. We're going to check insights, and that's good enough. They do it by niche industry. So they look at the niche and they look, oh, if we match the topic, that's good enough. We match the topic and interest, and then the general goal, right? We want to achieve sales, we want to achieve awareness, and blah, blah. That is the old way, right? The new way is ICP focused creative alignment. So getting that like overlap between like what the brand wants to achieve, what the creator is trying to achieve through their content, right? Generally speaking. And how do we get this? You ask them. You do not assume. You ask that creator, because this is, brands do not ask enough questions, and it's driving me crazy. You go onto that call with that influencer and you're asking them stuff about their audience. Why do you create content? What drives you to create content? What makes you happy when you create content, right? Because we're talking about that authenticity. We want people who are authentic. Great. So tell me, when you're going to a creator, what kind of content makes them the happiest to produce? Well, we don't know. Well, that's pretty bad, don't you think? Then how do you know if they're authentic or not? Right? And then the third part is what is the viewer getting out of the content, right? Like, why are they consuming that content in the first place? What are they doing there? Why are they following that person? These are the three main things. They're very simple in essence, but no one goes there because it's a little bit of, it implies talking to people. And I've noticed that there's an aversion of like, no, we don't. But you can do it in a very simple way. With creators, I've done this, and the creators are so blown away and so happy to get asked this. They're like, wow, oh my God, wow, you really care about me. Because the relationship, a lot of brands say, oh, you have to build relationships, and relationship building goes beyond being nice. You have to care and genuinely care. Mm-hmm. And if you cannot get yourself to care about the specific content the creator creates, or the specific person, find common ground that you both care about, and you'll see how your relationship really transforms.
Yeah, so true. And if we go back to attribution models,
yes.
I know you mentioned a bit like Google Analytics. Maybe we won't be able to go into details, but So do you have different attribution models depending on the goals? Like if it's sales, awareness, and content, like, or
I have attribution models that blend all of them together because I do not adhere to this, like we either get conversion or we either would get awareness. It's always been, and I think one of the people that I see on LinkedIn talking about this all the time is, I think, someone from Chubby's, Preston Rutherford from Chubby's.
I like him.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I love him. I went in his DMs like a stalker, and I was like, I love your content so much. Oh, we had like a short call. He's amazing. So, and I save like every single post. I'm like, oh my God, this is so. So he talks about, and this is, I felt so validated when I saw that, because I thought I thought I was crazy for thinking that. He said that the best and most performing marketing, or the best performing marketing in general, is when you do 40% conversion and 60% awareness. And I was like, oh my God, finally, because this is the way I've been doing influencer marketing. Like when I started 10 years ago, we didn't have all this like attribution. I was running influencer marketing programs with like large teams, and our only target was how many influencers we got to post per month. That was it. We were not measured. I was the one who went into Google Analytics and figured out that, oh my God, you can actually track stuff in there. That's amazing. And I put like a line. I still remember to this day, I put like a 5 rows in my Excel, and I was like, oh, we made $20,000 this month from influencers, from codes. Oh my God, that's so amazing. And nobody cared. They're like, yeah, whatever. Let's get 100 more people to post about this next month. And I could see that revenue going up, and oh my God, now it says 40,000. It's this amazing. And nobody cared. I swear to God, it was that kind of viral. We're like, that's right. Great job, sweetie. You're doing great. So, and then when I've also experienced like this sudden shift of, like, you can imagine me going from that environment. I went straight into like hardcore performance, where we had like targets. We had like, you have to generate 400, you have to sell 400 units this month. And I was like, oh, you are hardcore. Okay. So I have 3 different attribution models that I use. You can use them. One of them is general, so anyone can use it. You can use it regardless if you're like B2B, DTC, it doesn't matter. It's just like universal, and it's the easiest way. And I've talked about it before, but I'm going to go really fast through it. The second one, because I see we're also like at time. I'm sorry, I ramble a lot. The second one is what I call, how do I call it? Because they don't have specific names, but I'm not inventing stuff here. This is like but I have to give them names, because I cannot say like attribution model 1, 2, 3. The first one is called anchoring, because we're basically anchoring into the traffic that your website already has. And the simplest way I can put it is, the anchoring is when I take my total traffic that I get on my website, and I try to generate a percentage of that through my influencers. And the only limitation of this model is that you have to get started with mainly with content that has a link attached. So IG stories or YouTube, right? So you can do short content and you can do long form content, just choose, but lean heavily towards that type of content, or lean heavily towards getting onboarding on an affiliate tool, or like leaning towards like that affiliate kind of model, so that you can do attribution. So the way I do it is, I set like that benchmark. Let's say the easiest example I can give. Let's say I have 100K people coming to my website every month, and I put 10% down, right? 10,000. I think that's the math. 10,000 I'm trying to generate from influencers, right? You can adjust that, right? You can take 5% if you're like super early on. Whatever percentage works, just put a percentage there and try to get to that. So the first goal is for me to get to that percentage and try to generate that traffic from influencers. Now, what I do with that data is I look at several things. First, I look at my content and I try to understand how many clicks can I generate from an average of 1,000 views, because I'm going to use that to build on my program. So this kind of like This is why I call it anchoring, right? Because I'm anchoring it. I'm not going like super crazy, but I'm just anchoring it into that little segment that I'm generating, and then I'm building on that. So what I do is I anchor and I try to understand how much traffic can 1,000 views from a link content can bring. And then the second thing that I look is how qualified is that audience. So the way we define qualified audience is click-through rate. So if I have a high click-through rate per 1,000 views, I know that audience is qualified. I know I'm hitting like the right influencers and stuff like that. Session duration, because obviously people are looking at, clicking around, they're interested in my website. And then later on, I can add it in the beginning or I can add it later on. I usually add it later on. You can also add conversion rate. And what you're going to see is that the conversion rate from influencer marketing is generally going to be higher than from like the rest of your, this is what I've noticed but so far. So from here, once you have this setup, and once, let's say, you have the setup and you look at these things until you reach that goal that you set for yourself, like 5%, 10%. And when you get to that, you can take it like two different directions. You can take it up the funnel and say, I know for a fact what kind of traffic I can drive with approximately 1,000 views of content within a given frame of time, because EG stories are only for 24 hours. So that's going to be a little bit more hardcore. You're not going to drive as many clicks as you can, but with YouTube, because you have an infinite window of time, you're going to drive significantly more, right? So you just divide it per channel and you say, okay, short content or this type of content produces this click-through rate per 1,000 views, and this content produces this click-through rate per 1,000 views. And you take like separate window frames, timelines to say so, right? And then basically the way I scale it is, once I have a good idea of how the click-through rate looks like from influencers, I just start scaling that segment of click-through rate. That's my only concern. And again, I keep measuring that click-through rate, that little segment. I keep measuring it against content that I can link to. But because I have that, I've basically proven that 1,000 views from a specific content drive this many clicks. Then I can take that up and if I want to go like top of the funnel and say, okay, on short content, I might not have 1,000 views drive that many clicks, but I can take a sample of 3,000 views, 5,000 views, and apply that and say, okay, that kind of content generates this click rate, but it's not showing up in like it's not showing up directly in my tracking. It's not showing up in what I attribute to influencer marketing. So this is like the easiest way, because technically I am not tracking conversion, but I am in a way. Because if someone comes and say, well, what's coming out from influencer marketing? Where are the sales? I just take that segment and I'm like, well, first of all, I drove 10,000 people to the website. This percentage of them bought according to the website conversion rate. It's going to be higher than like the regular conversion rate. And secondly, what did you do with the rest of these people? Because nurturing this traffic that's not my business. I brought you 10,000 qualified people on the website. What did you do with them, right? And now it's not me passing on the responsibility, but it's me identifying, bringing up this flag and saying, we need to do something.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the simple, like the universal version.
Yeah.
And what are the second one? What's the name of the second one?
I think the second one a lot of people are gonna like, because the second one is pretty cool. So the second one, I called it the conversion rate per thousands, the CRT, with like a percentage symbol. And I use this model to determine how many sales I can drive from 1,000 views from a high converting influencer or high converting type of content. This could be anything. This could be like TikTok. This could be short. Whatever I deem as high converting that I can track directly. It's usually YouTube or like EG stories or whatever. I am looking right now. I'm not looking at like click rate, but I'm looking at conversion specifically. So for this model, for me to be able to put this attribution model in place, I do need like a healthy number of collaborations in place, so I can identify like those high converters, and I can understand like how many sales 1,000 views from that specific person or type of content has. So what I do is I take that value, and then I have like my notes here. That's what I'm looking at. And I create a scoring model for content throughout my funnel. Now, you don't have to do it throughout your funnel. I usually do like top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. So bottom of the funnel is like the 1,000 views that I measure the conversion rate against. Now, you can measure it in percentage, or you can measure it per units. Whatever you want, like you can do AOV, or whatever matters. For me, for DTC, the easiest is to get like sales, like how number of actual sales. So let's say for bottom of the funnel, I get, on an average product with like 40-50% $40-50 AOV, I get like 8 sales or 10 sales, whatever. That's a pretty decent, right? Then what I do is I take the same model and I go up on the funnel and I say, okay, if this person was able to produce this many sales from 1,000 views, then it means the top of the funnel is producing sales as well. But they're not producing as many because, again, that's why I'm keeping it at this limit of like AOV, like 40 to 50, because if you have like a low ticket item, for example, something that costs like $15, $18, $10, whatever, I can safely assume that for 1,000 views, I am still getting sales. Even if it's like the very first touch point, I am still getting sales. So what I do is I do two things. I increase the number of views, like the segment of views that I'm measuring against. So I go to like anywhere between like 3 to 5K. And then I say, okay, for 3,000 views, let's assume I get 2 sales, right? Yeah. So, because again, and the way you take this up with your management or your investors or stuff is like, are you seriously telling me that we have an $18 product that 1,000 people are seeing and not one of them is buying? You can put one. If you just want to be safe, you can put like out of 3,000 people, one buy. Because then you just attack it in like a different way. Like, are you seriously telling, if we show this product to 3,000 people at a first glance, and nobody buys it, we have bigger problems than attribution in influencer marketing. It's impossible statistically for a low ticket item, someone must buy it. And you can play with those, right? However you want it, however you feel. So this views, the way I calculate views are targeted audience views. The easiest way to calculate targeted audience views is to look at demographics. Don't go into like trying to calculate overlaps and stuff. Take the easy route out and just look at demographics. So for example, on YouTube, you can ask the creator to give you like who watched this video, or you can assume from the creator's audience. If you're going on short content, just take the easy way and assume, because this is the assumption that we're working with that creator on in the first place, right? We're assuming that their audience is big. So before, I did a little bit of example here, and before when I applied this model, like for creator number 1, I took someone that had like 98 to 9,800 views and drove 75 sales with this model. And I had a creator number 2 that had 120K views and had 0 sales because that was top of the funnel. That was a TikTok. We couldn't track anything of that. So without applying the model, I had 75 sales. But when I applied the model and I assumed fairly enough that every 3,000 views, that TikTok creator drew a sale for that like $15 product, I have 155 at the end, which gives me actually creator 1 produced 75 sales. And when I apply the model for creator 2, it shows that they drove 80 sales, where I'm assuming that they drove 80 sales. And again, you can limit this per time and say, okay, within 30 days, right? You look at the creators, the high converters, where you have the tracking, and you look at 30 days, and you have your attribution model. And this completely changes. This is one of the ways that you can go to management. And again, you're saying, we're not trying to attribute crazy sales to that top of the funnel. We have a cheap product, and it's very, very safe to assume that out of thousands and thousands upon thousands of people that we're targeting and retargeting with the content, at least one of them is buying. Put one. If you're unsure, just put one and say, are you seriously telling me that one person is not buying this product? Because it's impossible. Like, who will tell you that? Okay. So this is one that, again, you can keep in mind that, if it gets a lot of views fast, if it's viral, go for incrementality. So adjust that level of like the people that you take per top of the funnel. So instead of like 3 to 5, If it goes to like millions of views, go to like 10, 20, 50K, right? And try just to be safe, because virality is something different. And the rule of thumb is if it has slow, steady growth in time, keep it at 3 to 5K for top of the funnel, right? Attribute those like 1-2 sales, however you want, for top of the funnel. If it grows fast, go up in segment size, like I said. So that's the model. What do you think?
I think the first one was easier.
This one is actually super, super easy. This is easier than the first one, because all you need is you need to track some links, and then you need to just create a table and choose a segment and attribute sales to that view segment for top of the funnel, and that's it. And at the end of the month, you divide like this: content that has links, content that doesn't have links, and then you just apply the model, and that's it. And you're saying, hey, we can attribute. And if you want to, go ahead.
So you kind of assume that the content with links are getting some extra push also from the content without links. So you should just sum up everything and then, well, yeah, tell me if I'm not understanding correctly.
No. So I'm putting the content with views is like the content with links is kind of like the more guaranteed one, the more accurate one, to say so, right? But with top of the funnel, I'm just guessing. I'm trying to like prove that I'm trying to prove ROI in a different way. The way you can double check this, and you can say, because people are gonna be like, yeah, but what if you get like a bunch of like super high views in your program and stuff like that? Obviously, this attribution model depends on how well you choose your influencers. Like, if you choose people who are top of the funnel but they're right for your audience, you will get those sales if you have a low ticket item. Again, this is for low ticket items. I'm not talking about stuff that costs hundreds of dollars. And then you can double check that by putting benchmarks, right? You can apply this attribution model. Before you apply it, you take a benchmark of your direct and organic traffic and conversion, and then you take, in 2-3 months, you look at it again, and you compare, and you're thinking, okay, this is what we're attributing, right? Using this model from influencer marketing, and this is the growth that we had, right? If whatever we attributed to influencer marketing sits very comfortably within the way we grew, then it's correct. If it doesn't, then you just adjust. You do like adjustments to the attribution model. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay. So the last one, I can also touch on the last one. The last one is the hardest one. This is
okay, let's go.
The last one is by touch point value. And the last one is what I recommend for B2B and high ticket items. Touch point value is not like a foreign term to marketing. It is mainly used in like B2B. And it's not that hard to assess. The way there's also like a calculator I found, and what they do is they just look at total revenue divided by conversions, and then divided by how many touch points it took to get that sale. So I can share it with you if you want to share it. It has it's a pretty cool calculator. So this is how you can I don't know. Do
you want to share your screen or?
No. I'm going to share it in the chat here, and you can. How do I use this? Not now. Okay, I'm just gonna send it to you on LinkedIn. It's fine. But you can use this real quick. It also has like a guide attached to it, which is super helpful. But the way I do it is, this is why it gets complicated. You cannot do this model. This is the only model. The other two you can get away without ICP research. The third one, you cannot get away with ICP research, because you have to have that research in order to know what type of touch points you have on your customer journey. Half-assing it and assumptions do not work here, because you're just going to screw up the entire model. So what you need to do is you need to calculate the value of a touch point, by we understand the association that ICP makes with the different types of content. And you can do that on, considering different things. Brand recall, like how desirable the brand is, content action. Okay, so if I'm making it super, super easy, because I want to make it super, super easy, what I have to do is I have to identify, I would say, a minimum of 10 touch points while mapping my customer journey. So I'm talking to my customers and I'm like poking into their pains. I'm asking them, okay, what is your pain? How do you feel about this? Okay, what are other solutions you're looking for? Where are you looking for those solutions? How did you get up to my solution, right? What brought you here? And then I kind of parallel that with content research. And at every step of the way, I'm asking them, when you watch this content, what did you think about it? When you watch that video, what did you think about it? What was the next action that you took, right? Let's say someone reads a blog and they're reading that blog just to research whatever product you're offering. Let's say you're offering a car, right? They're just researching the car. They don't have high intent. So that touch point is going to have lower value. But then they go to YouTube and they watch a YouTube video and they see the car in action. And what that does to them is it kickstarts it. They don't buy just yet, but it kickstarts them calling to the bank and seeing, like, can I get a loan for this car? Them maybe going to a dealership to try the car. That is a high value touch point, right? Because it kicked them into action. That's really good. And then maybe they went and talked to one of their friends. Touch point you will not be able to find out it unless you ask them. So they talk to a friend that also has that model of car, and they're asking for recommendations. That is also high value touch point. And the way you influence that is through customer experience and having a good product. That's pretty much it. Because I know people are going to ask, well, how do I influence the friend? Have a good product. That's pretty much it. So what you do is you map out these touch points and you understand which has low value, which has high value, and stuff like that. And then you assign a scoring. And when it comes to your product value, you try to get that scoring to 100%. And you're saying, okay, you're equating like my product value to the scoring of 100%. And you're saying these are the touch points, the main ones at least, right? Because there's like so many in between, but we're focusing just on the main ones. And we're equating those with a value, and we do like a scoring. You can do like a simple Excel table where you map that out and you understand, okay, this is the value of the touch point, and this is how we should build our content, like our influencer content journey. And you might not, on that journey, you might not just have like stuff you can place with influencers, but it will help you identify like those, you cherry pick those places where you can. And what you need to keep in mind is you cannot have only high value touch points and only low value touch points. Because I know people are going to try and hack, well, if the friend is the highest value touch point, I'm going to have a bunch of friends of him go to his house and knock on his door. Just, it doesn't work that way, right? You need to have a combination, because if you get too aggressive too fast, it's going to turn people off, right? They're going to be like, these guys are just trying to sell me on stuff. Because the higher, what I've seen is that the higher value touch points are always bottom of the funnel, and people are going to get turned on. They're going to be like, eh. So your goal is to balance. This is where it gets a little bit trickier, because when you're looking at how much you're paying for influencers and how much you're investing in the program, your goal, the way you get ROI from this, is to balance how much you're paying for each touch point. So right. You understand?
You don't want to pay a lot for something. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And that's when it gets, it's tricky, because it implies a little bit of a high level thinking. It's not as tactical as the other ones where you're just like, oh, I'm just taking the numbers and I'm putting them in Excel. This one is more like strategic. And then the tactical version of it is just, it's simply like an Excel table. Like that's it. But the tricky part is to talk and get all that data and kind of like really think on, how do we value these touch points, and is that accurate?
And doing the research, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, this was great. Like I feel like we can do like 5 episodes. But it was amazing. Just go through all this. Like this, it's a lot for influencer managers, CMOs to prove and their program and kind of validate and in getting the budget and convincing everyone like we need to do it. And just after this episode, I hope and I feel at least that there's a lot more to show than just the classic discount code and getting the quick sale. There's a lot more into it that you need to show and prove and that you can explain. So yeah, I mean, this was great. Thanks for sharing all this. And we need to think of a new episode now because there's a lot to record.
I'm sorry. I know I need to like pretty intense when it comes to like packing things with information.
I love it. No, we love it.
But I encourage everyone, like everyone who's listening, I'm gonna put like the second one because the second one is really easy, and the second one is just gonna help so many people. I'm gonna do like a small infographic that you can share,
Yeah.
with the podcast to show people how easy that is. And again, if anyone in your management go with this was I had like an influencer marketer. Like she was afraid to go to her manager and ask to do like this thing. I was like, you go to her and you say, you look her in the eyes and you say, are you telling me that you honestly think that 3,000 people would see this product and would not buy it? And just not say anything after that. Do not say it. Just look at her and do not say anything after. And she's like, you're going to get me fired. And I'm like, I'm not going to get you fired because this is an important question to ask. Like, do we trust our product enough to not have to goad people into it and to not have to turn our marketing people into salesmen? Because if we have to turn our marketing people into salesmen, we have problems. We have a bigger problem than influencer marketing attribution. And she came out, she sent me a DM and she was like, it worked. It worked. I was like, that's amazing. And she was like, it actually, the program, because I convinced them to redo the Google Analytics and to like tidy up stuff. And now the program is looking so good that, they're thinking about increasing the budget and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah.
Wow. So nice.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
but yeah, thanks again for joining. It was amazing, like always.
Thank you for inviting me. I always love coming and talking to you. And I hope this is this is a podcast, by the way, because this is a shameless plug for you this time. Because you need to plug this podcast more on LinkedIn. But I see you posting all the time and you don't tell people about the podcast. And I'm gonna screenshot my Spotify so you can see I listen to every single episode. I listen to it when I go to my gym, when I do my lift weighting, my weightlifting. I also listen to like people talking about influencer marketing, and I absolutely love it.
Nice to hear. I love it. Yeah, I'm glad I have a true fan.
Yeah, I'm your number one fan. I recommend it to everyone.
Oh, that's nice of you. But you should. I think you could have your own podcast, actually.
Yeah, I talk so much. I ramble. God, just try to stop.
No, it's not rambling. It's just a lot of value, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you having me on this. I think it's like my third time or something. And
yeah. We should have you all the time on the podcast.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait to send me like some snippets from this because I'll share it
I will.
as well.
I will. And before you go, so don't close the kind of the Riverside thing. Make sure that it just uploads because I think it's still uploading our episode that we just recorded.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So sometimes, like if you close it, it would not upload. I don't know why. It's just the program. So feel free to have it just open for a while, and I will see if it's done. But hopefully, it's done.
Yeah. No worries.
Nice.
I will not.
Nice, and say hi to your cats. I saw them playing in the background. I love them.
Oh, were they running around? They always do that.
No, just a little bit. It was fun.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, you can actually see the videos. I think on Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah. I put up the videos.
Yeah, you should upload them on YouTube and just let them like.
I should. I have a few. I should just upload every single one. Yeah,
Yeah, just
I
upload
should.
them and let them gather views. Let them get
Yeah,
AdSense
totally
money.
agree. Yeah, yeah,
You have like
you're right.
really great ones. I listened to, oh god, I don't remember her name because I'm bad with names, but the one with the high ticket items. Um
Yeah, yeah.
I listened to Katie.
Catherine
Yeah, I
for
could.
cats.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um then you had like Dimitri. Then there was another guy with like ads. Taryn. Yeah, I know. I told you I listened to it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I have a few.
Yeah. So those are like super really really great, and I would definitely cut them like do shorts because you can cut
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
these squares and you can put them like this
Yeah,
in
yeah.
editing software, and it's so much better than most of the talking video because I'm always like, oh my god, this is so good. I wish I would have thought about this, but I didn't. So what? Okay.
Oh, I love it. But great, great, Andrea. But thanks again, and I will ping you when we go live.